Hello and welcome to my channel, Married to Autism. There's a lot of labels that get thrown around, not just for autistic people, but also for the partners of autistic people, which is what I want to talk about today. So labels such as trauma bonded, you married your father, you're trying to fix childhood trauma, etc. Things like that. Now, I'm not saying that those labels are not true at all. When I did my interview with Diana, who has the channel Lonely in Truth, we talked about trauma bonds there, and I was sort of saying I don't really buy into the whole labeling system. And it's not that I don't believe that those labels or trauma bonds or things like that don't exist. It's just that I think they're not relevant to everyone, and they kind of get thrown around a lot as though they relate to everyone. Like, we've all heard the whole thing of you married your father. I didn't marry my dad. I imagine there's a bunch of people who didn't marry their dads. And so I think that whilst they apply, they don't apply to everybody. So a trauma bond, what I read, is there's all these kind of bad moments, and then there's this odd sort of good moment, and then you're waiting for the good moments to come again in amongst all the bad stuff, right? That doesn't really relate to me in that it's not as though there's a whole lot of good that I'm waiting to get back to. So I've mentioned in a previous video that we didn't really have the honeymoon phase. It was just kind of, we were in it and he was cold and distant from the get-go. And I do remember thinking that he would eventually thaw out once he got to know me and felt like he could trust me. Because I actually thought, like, before I knew about autism, I was thinking that he just had trust issues because his heart had been broken previously, and once I built up his trust, then he would let me in. And I had no idea how long that would take. But I assumed it was possible. You know, there I am in my 20s thinking, I've got this. I had no idea that it was never going to happen. There was no amount of... he does trust me now. Okay, let's just put that out there. We have reached a stage where he trusts that I'm not going anywhere. Because that was the thing. I used to think he thought I was going to leave him, and so he wouldn't let me in. So now he knows I'm not going anywhere. And he still doesn't really let me in. And it turns out that that's part of the autism. So, But the point I'm getting at is it wasn't like we had this really great honeymoon phase that we were ever going to get back to, trauma bonded in that sense. Now, maybe I didn't describe trauma bonding well. If you have a better description, drop a comment below. But that was just one of the things that I read that explained it that way. Bad moments with the odd good moment, and then you tolerate the bad moments because you're waiting for more good moments. And so I don't feel like I can't leave him from trauma bonding. But I have said this before. When he and I split up for the longest time that we'd split up, which was 12 months, many years ago, pre-COVID, my friends were nowhere. I had one friend take me out to a night spot where we listened to a live band, and a whole bunch of other friends who, I don't know, where were they? And a number of my family and friends are being like, you need to leave this guy, he's no good for you, he's bad, you gotta go, right? And then I leave him, And family and friends are nowhere. It was the loneliest 12 months of my life. Like, I was more lonely in those 12 months than I'd been with him. And I mean, that's saying something, right? Considering those in relationships with people on the spectrum often feel lonely, to feel more lonely when he was gone, wow, you know. I couldn't get my friends to commit. I would tee something up and they would say yes and then cancel last minute and then not reciprocate. Not say, oh, well, I wasn't free that night, but I'm free this night, so let's do it then. No, I would hear nothing. And so, yeah, I guess I kind of stay in the sense that he gives me something to do. I would be more lonely without him than I am with him. And I know not everybody's in that boat, but I'm in that boat. He's more a friend to me than other people are. And even though, like, we'll go out, like we went on a date recently and, you know, he was kind of negative and fault-finding, critiquey, especially if I drive. Like, oh, Jesus. He's a terrible backseat driver. Anyway, I kind of come away from that date, you know, and the counsellors are all like, you need to go on more dates. And do we? Tell me more. Have you been on a date with this guy? If you did, I think you might change your mind. So anyway, we go on this date. He's a bit moody, grumpy. And I just get home and feel really flat that I wish I felt love and loved, you know. So, you know, annoying to go on a date with, annoying to try and love, but friend nonetheless, somebody I can actually do things with. Like if I said to him, let's go bowling on Saturday, he'd go. If I said that to my friends, I'd be hard pushed to get them to commit. So, yeah, that's kind of why I stay. So I don't think that that's trauma bonded. I think that that's just a situational thing where I just happen to have friends who are non-committal. And they got their reasons, you know, money and other things. But it's just one of those things. Anyway, so I haven't married my dad. I'm not trauma bonded. I'm not trying to fix some childhood trauma, which he wouldn't fit into anyway. This is a whole new ballgame. So yeah, labels. I'm not saying that they don't exist. I'm just saying that they don't relate to everybody. Not everybody who stays is trauma bonded. Not everybody who marries somebody on the spectrum is marrying someone like their dad. Not everybody who's in any kind of troublesome relationship is trying to heal their childhood trauma by getting with somebody who's just the same as the childhood trauma, hoping to fix it, and then your childhood trauma is cured. I guess that's how that works. And it's the same with people on the spectrum. Like, we give them lots of labels as well. And there's that saying that if you've met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person, meaning that they're all different. And I feel the same with partners. You've met one partner of somebody on the spectrum. You've met one partner of somebody on the spectrum. Ooh, that's a mouthful. And so we're not all the same. We're not all in the same boat. We're not all under the same labels. We all have our myriad of reasons for staying. I would say that mine primarily is financial and also the loneliness. I stay because I'm financially stable and I have somebody to hang with and talk to a degree. He's not uber quiet, you know, so I can sort of go up to him and have the odd conversation and he can have the odd conversation with me. It's still not flowing and, you know, and all over the place and talk about this and takes you there and da-da-da-da-da. It's not all of that, but I at least have somebody I can chat to on the daily. Whereas when we were separated for those 12 months, I must have gone days, weeks maybe, without talking to people. Just crazy experience. Anyway, over to you. Drop a comment below. What do you think of labels? Do you think they are a one size fits all? or not. Anyway, comment below, love to hear from you, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I really do appreciate it.